In 2025, the world is louder than ever. Every thought, every opinion, and every move seems to be shared, posted, or broadcasted for the world to see. With the rise of social media, digital platforms, and online communities, people are constantly encouraged to be visible, to share everything, and to always stay connected. But what if the real power doesn't lie in what you show, but in what you choose not to show? What if the true strength in this noisy world is found in silence and privacy and self-control? Privacy today isn't just about protecting your information, it's about protecting your energy, your peace, and your vision. When too much of your life is public, you expose yourself to too many opinions. You open the door to judgment, distraction, and even manipulation. And while connection is important, not every detail of your life needs an audit. There is power in holding certain things close. It gives you the space to grow without pressure, to evolve without explanation, and to build without interruption. Think about it. When you're working on something new, whether it's a business idea, a fitness goal, or a personal habit, you are in a fragile state. Your motivation is still developing. Your momentum is still forming. If you share your plans too early, you invite not only support, but also doubt, resistance, and negativity. That outside noise can shake your focus. It can cause you to question yourself, not because you're wrong, but because too many voices are speaking over your own inner wisdom. Keeping your vision private, especially in the beginning, allows you to protect your process. It gives you time to build clarity before facing the world's commentary. It's not about hiding. It's about choosing when and how to reveal your progress. And when you finally do, you'll do it from a place of strength, not need. You won't be seeking validation. You'll be sharing results. Privacy also protects your relationships. In a time when everyone feels the need to post every interaction, every date, every disagreement, there is something powerful about keeping your personal connection sacred. When your life is constantly on display, those moments lose their intimacy. You begin to perform your life instead of living it. But when you choose privacy, you create space for real, meaningful connection, free from outside opinions or assumptions. This doesn't mean you can't share anything. It simply means you become intentional about what you share and why. There is a difference between openness and overexposure. One builds trust, the other invites chaos. In a world where people are addicted to attention, choosing privacy is an act of discipline. It says, I don't need the world to clap for every step I take. I trust myself enough to walk in silence. Another area where privacy gives you power is your internal world, your thoughts, beliefs, and emotions. Not every doubt, fear, or frustration needs to be posted online. Processing your feelings privately gives you the chance to grow stronger. You learn to manage your emotional state instead of placing it on display and waiting for others to fix it for you. This builds mental toughness, and mental toughness is what allows you to stay centered when things around you are falling apart. Even your wins can benefit from privacy. When you keep your achievements quiet for a while, you get to enjoy them without pressure. You're not rushing to meet anyone's expectations or to prove yourself again. You are simply growing, improving, evolving on your terms. Privacy also protects your energy. Every time you share a piece of yourself, you're giving away a piece of your focus. You're inviting more voices into your mental space. And not all of those voices are helpful. Some are filled with jealousy, others with criticism. Some are just noise. When you keep your life more private, you filter out that noise. You create a quiet space where clarity can grow. In that space, you can hear your own voice, follow your own path, and live with intention. In 2025, choosing privacy is not about fear, it's about strength. It's not about running away from the world. It's about running toward what matters most and not allowing distractions to steal your attention. The most successful people don't share everything. They share the right things at the right time for the right reasons. That's the kind of discipline that builds power from the inside out. When you have a dream burning inside you, it can feel natural to talk about it. You want others to know, and you want to share your excitement, your vision, and your purpose. But in 2025, it's more important than ever to understand the value of holding your goals close, at least until they begin to take form. Speaking too soon about your ambitions can create unnecessary pressure, invite judgment, and even drain the energy you need to actually accomplish them. There's a kind of strength in silence. When a goal is new, it's like a seed. It's delicate. It needs the right environment to grow. Sharing it too early is like pulling that seed out of the soil just to prove it's growing. It disrupts the process. Dreams grow best in quiet places when you give them time to develop roots. That means protecting them from outside noise until they're strong enough to stand on their own. In today's world, where posting everything online is the norm, people often confuse talking about progress with making real progress. But they're not the same. Telling everyone what you're going to do might make you feel accomplished for a moment, but it doesn't move you any closer to the finish line. In fact, it can sometimes steal the very drive that's pushing you forward. You begin to enjoy the attention that comes from the idea of success rather than the reality of the work it takes to get there. Also, when you speak about your goals too early, you risk letting in opinions that can weaken your belief. People might question you, they might laugh, they might even mean well, but unintentionally plant doubt in your mind. And when that doubt creeps in during the early stages of building something, it can be enough to slow you down or even make you stop. It's not because your goal isn't valid, it's because your mind is still developing belief, and belief needs time and space to grow without interference. Staying quiet about your goals doesn't mean you're being secretive or sneaky. It means you're being strategic. You're giving yourself room to breathe, to plan, and to execute without the weight of expectation. This is especially true when your goal is something big, something different, or something others might not understand. Until it becomes real to you, there's no need to convince anyone else. Another reason to keep your goals private in the beginning is focus. The more you talk about them, the more you risk being pulled into conversations instead of action. You start explaining, defending, and trying to make others see your vision, which takes time and energy away from building it. But when you stay focused, when you put your head down and do the work without seeking outside validation, something powerful happens. You begin to create momentum. You build quiet progress. And when that progress begins to show, you don't have to say much, people will notice. There's also the emotional side of this. Goals are personal. They're tied to your values, your dreams, and often your past struggles. Sharing them too soon can feel like exposing a part of yourself before it's ready, and once it's out there, it's hard to take it back. By keeping it private, you protect your emotional energy. You stay connected to your why without having to defend it to anyone. As your goals start to take shape, you'll know when the time is right to share. By then, you won't be looking for approval. You won't need people to believe in you. You'll already believe in yourself. And that belief will be strong because it was built in silence through discipline, effort, and persistence. When you finally reveal what you've been working on, it won't be just a dream. It will be real, visible, and undeniable. It's also worth understanding that not everyone deserves access to your dreams. Some people simply can't see what you see. That's not their fault. They're operating from their own limits, their own fears, and their own experiences. And when you share your goals with the wrong audience, you risk shrinking them to fit someone else's version of what's realistic. But your dream was never meant to be realistic. It was meant to be yours, and only you can give it life. So instead of talking about it, build it. Instead of posting it, practice it. Let your results speak. Let your actions become the proof. The world doesn't need more promises. It needs more people who quietly turn their visions into reality and then let that reality do the talking. Money is one of the most misunderstood subjects in the modern world. In 2025, where so many people are focused on showing off success, talking about income, posting luxury lifestyles, and broadcasting every financial move, it's more important than ever to understand the value of keeping your income and financial situation private, not because money is something to be ashamed of, but because protecting your financial privacy protects your peace, your purpose, and your personal power. When people talk too much about how much money they make, what they earn, or what they own, they often do it to impress or to gain approval. But true financial security doesn't need to be proven. It shows in how you live, how you manage your life, and how calm you are in the face of pressure, not in how many people know your bank balance. Speaking too openly about your income can attract the wrong attention. It can cause jealousy in some, unrealistic expectations in others, and can even create distance between you and the people who once supported you without judgment. Privacy around money is not about hiding, it's about being wise. Money brings energy. For some people, that energy is positive, inspiration, ambition, and hope. But for others, it brings comparison, resentment, and competition. And when you constantly share how much you earn or what you've bought, you might unknowingly feed those negative energies. You don't just open your wallet, you open your life to people's projections, assumptions, and judgments. There's also the pressure that comes with being too public about your finances. When everyone knows how much you make, they begin to expect more from you, more gifts, more support, more generosity, more proof of continued success. And if your income goes down or you hit a rough patch, that same audience becomes silent or even critical. People often celebrate you only when you're winning on their terms. Keeping your income private frees you from those unrealistic expectations and allows you to build wealth at your own pace, in your own way. Sharing the income too openly also affects relationships. In many cases, friendships change once money enters the conversation. People start treating you differently. Some might want something from you, others might feel inferior or uncomfortable, and some might start comparing their life to yours without even realizing it. That comparison can quietly erode trust, closeness, and connection. Money, when not managed with discretion, becomes a wedge between people instead of a tool to improve life. Privacy also gives you the mental freedom to focus on why you're earning rather than how it looks from the outside. When you keep your financial life quiet, you're more likely to focus on your values, your vision, and your goals, not just the performance of wealth. You can make decisions based on strategy, not popularity. You can invest without fear of being judged. You can save, give, and spend according to your long-term plan, not just for applause. And most importantly, when you don't talk constantly about how much money you have, you allow your character to lead, not your income. People begin to value your presence, your ideas, your energy, not just your status. That's real wealth, the kind that builds trust and respect that money can't buy. In 2025, financial privacy is also a form of protection. With more digital threats, scams, identity theft, and targeted manipulation, being loud about your income can put you at risk. The more people know about your earnings, the more vulnerable you become to those who want a piece of it. Smart people stay quiet. They move strategically. They keep their circle tight. They understand that you don't need to show your wallet to prove your worth. Another reason to keep your income private is discipline. When no one knows how much you make, you're less likely to spend just to prove a point. You become less tempted to make impulsive decisions to match a lifestyle image. You stay grounded. You learn to enjoy what you have without broadcasting it. A quiet enjoyment brings peace. And peace is one of the most underrated forms of success. Financial maturity means being in control, not just of how you earn and spend, but of how you talk about money. Keeping it private isn't old-fashioned. It's wise, it's powerful, and it puts you in the driver's seat of your life without needing anyone else to approve or validate your journey. Wealth is not about being seen, it's about being free. And freedom begins when you realize you don't need the world to know your numbers. You just need to live with purpose, on your terms, in quiet confidence. In today's world, it's easy to think that every part of life should be shared. People post about their relationships, their dates, their private conversations, even their personal arguments, sometimes in real time. But just because something can be shared doesn't mean it should be. When it comes to relationships, especially deep and meaningful ones, keeping them private is a powerful way to protect what really matters. Relationships grow in trust. They need space to breathe, to evolve, and to strengthen without the constant opinions of outsiders. The moment something becomes public, it becomes open to interpretation. Others may begin to analyze, question, or even criticize what they don't fully understand. When that happens, the focus can shift from the bond itself to how the bond looks. That's when people start performing rather than connecting. They start thinking about how their relationship appears instead of how it feels. Privacy is not about secrecy, it's about protection. A private relationship isn't one that hides in fear, it's one that honors the value of emotional safety. It understands that the more people know about the inner workings of a relationship, the more space there is for confusion, jealousy, and interference. The world doesn't need access to every moment between two people. Some things are meant to be shared only between those involved. That's where true intimacy lives. In 2025, the digital world thrives on content, and relationships often become part of the show. Couples are encouraged to post proof of their love, anniversaries, gifts, texts, photos, private jokes. While sharing small pieces can be joyful, oversharing can damage the very core of the connection. It invites outside energy into something that should be protected from noise. When too many eyes are watching, even the smallest problem can feel like a performance, and even the most sincere gesture can begin to lose its meaning. Keeping relationships private also helps maintain emotional clarity. When something goes wrong, you have the space to process it, to talk it through, and to understand what it really means without being influenced by 100 outside opinions. If everyone knows your every move, you risk making decisions not based on what's best for the relationship, but based on what others might say or expect. That kind of pressure weakens the foundation and turns real connection into a public display. Another reason privacy is so important is because relationships are built on vulnerability. Opening your heart, sharing your fears, being seen fully, all of that requires trust. When that trust is shared too widely or exposed without care, the sense of safety starts to fade. People begin to pull back, to filter themselves, to hold something back because they fear being misunderstood or judged by others. But when privacy is respected, that trust grows. It creates a space where both people can be fully honest without fear of being put on display. In friendships, this is just as true. Not every bond needs to be shown off. Real friends don't need the world to know how close they are. They value quality over attention. They protect each other's stories, respect each other's silence, and don't share private details for the sake of clout or content. These are the friendships that last, the ones that are built in quiet support, not public validation. Even family connections benefit from privacy. Families go through highs and lows. They argue, heal, celebrate, and struggle. Sharing too much of that publicly can create unnecessary division or embarrassment. Sometimes people share parts of their family life online that were meant to stay within the home. It might feel harmless at the time, but once it's out, it can never be fully taken back. Words and images can travel far, and the harm they cause can be hard to undo. Keeping emotional bonds private is also a way of staying grounded. When people keep looking to others for relationship advice, approval, or reassurance, they often lose sight of their own values and instinct. They begin to rely on outside voices instead of trusting their own inner guidance. Privacy gives people the opportunity to grow together based on mutual understanding and shared values, not crowd opinion. The strongest relationships in any form, romantic, friendship, family, or mentorship, are those that are nurtured with care. They aren't put on display for likes or attention. They are built in quiet conversations, mutual respect, forgiveness, and honest connection. They are not used as tools for status or validation. They are protected, valued, and handled with intention. In a time when attention seems more important than authenticity, choosing to keep your emotional bonds private is a radical act of love and strength. It's a way of saying, this is real, and I care too much to let the world shape it. When something is truly meaningful, it deserves more protection than publicity. And that kind of protection creates the space where love, trust, and connection can truly grow. In a time where sharing everything has become normal, personal struggles are often turned into entertainment. People post about their pain, their heartbreak, their failures, and their darkest moments as if they're just another story to be consumed. But not every struggle needs to be seen. Some of the most important growth happens in silence, away from the spotlight, where true healing and strength are formed. Keeping personal struggles private is not a weakness. It's a choice that protects mental and emotional health. When you're going through something hard, your mind is already carrying a heavy load. Whether it's loss, disappointment, failure, emotional pain, the process of dealing with it requires focus and clarity. When that pain is shared too widely, especially on social platforms or in casual conversations, it often becomes diluted or misunderstood. Instead of healing, the focus shifts to explaining. Instead of reflecting, you end up performing strength or seeking sympathy. And in doing so, the true value of the struggle is lost. Privacy during hard times gives people the space they need to make sense of what they're going through. It removes the pressure to be okay for others. When everyone knows your struggles, they often expect regular updates or signs that you're improving. That expectation can feel like a weight. It can make people rush their healing or pretend they're doing better just to avoid questions or pity. But healing isn't something that can be scheduled. It takes time and it needs quiet. Also, when struggles are made public too soon, people begin to label them. They make assumptions. They compare. They offer advice without understanding, and sometimes they even judge. But struggles are deeply personal. What breaks one person might not even shake another. Everyone carries different wounds, different pasts, and different emotional needs. That's why keeping struggles private can be a form of self-respect. It's about protecting your story from being handled by people who haven't earned the right to hold it. There's also the issue of identity. When someone shares too many of their struggles, they can start to become defined by them. The pain becomes part of how others see them, and slowly can even become part of how they see themselves. Instead of being someone who went through something, they become someone who is that thing. That identity can be hard to shake. But when people work through pain quietly, they give themselves the freedom to rewrite the story on their own terms, without outside input shaping the narrative. Privacy allows people to process their emotions honestly. When no one is watching, you can cry if you need to, scream if you have to, or sit in silence without pressure. You don't have to explain your feelings. You don't have to package them in a way that makes sense to others. You can just feel. And in that raw, honest space, real transformation begins. The kind that doesn't need applause, approval, or an audience. This isn't to say that no one should ever talk about their struggles. Trusted people, friends, mentors, or professionals can offer real support when it's needed most. But that circle should be small and safe. Oversharing with the wrong people or in the wrong places can do more harm than good. Sometimes people use someone else's struggle as gossip. Other times they offer surface-level support that doesn't really help. Privacy lets you choose who gets to walk that journey with you, and that choice is powerful. Struggles also teach important lessons, but those lessons often take time to understand. When people talk about their pain before they've processed it, they may share conclusions that aren't true or give advice that doesn't come from clarity. But when someone waits, reflects, and grows from the inside, the wisdom they later share is real. It comes from a place of strength, not survival. And that kind of wisdom can actually help others. In the long run, keeping struggles private helps build resilience. You learn to sit with discomfort. You learn to trust yourself. You learn that not every battle needs to be known in order to be won. And when you finally emerge from that storm, you're not just someone who survived, you're someone who transformed. That kind of strength doesn't need to be broadcast. It speaks through how you live, how you carry yourself, and how you treat others. Keeping struggles private doesn't mean hiding from life. It means facing it fully, without distractions, without noise, and without needing others to approve the process. It's a quiet kind of power. And in a world that shares everything, that kind of power is rare and deeply valuable. In a world that often rewards noise, the decision to live with intention, privacy, and self-awareness is one of the boldest moves a person can make. Choosing what to share, and more importantly, what not to share, is not about fear or secrecy. It's about understanding that personal power grows in silence. It's about knowing that everything sacred doesn't belong on display. In 2025, where overexposure has become the norm, maintaining a sense of mystery, dignity, and control over your life is not only refreshing, it's essential. The truth is, not everything needs an audience. Your financial success, your relationships, your goals, your struggles, these parts of your life hold deep meaning, and when you protect them, you protect your peace. The fewer people that have access to your private world, the fewer opinions you have to manage. And with fewer opinions, you gain more clarity, more strength, and more freedom to make choices based on your own values rather than the noise around you. When you keep your income private, you free yourself from the race of comparison. You build wealth quietly with purpose and intention without falling into the trap of showing off. When you protect your relationships, you allow them to grow organically, away from judgment, pressure, and unnecessary attention. When you guard your personal goals, you give them the space to breathe, evolve, and succeed without being shaken by others' doubts or envy. And when you keep your struggles close, you allow your heart to heal in peace. You honor the pain, learn from it, and rise stronger without the need for applause. It takes strength to stay quiet in a world that constantly shouts. It takes discipline to withhold when everyone else is oversharing. And it takes self-worth to know that your life is valuable, even if no one else sees every detail of it. Real confidence doesn't scream. It doesn't need validation. It walks into a room and doesn't feel the need to explain itself. That's the kind of power you build when you protect what matters most. Your privacy is your strength. It's your boundary. It's your reminder that your story is yours to write, not something for the world to edit. The more you value it, the more you begin to see what truly deserves your time, your energy, and your voice. So choose wisely what you share. Speak with purpose, live with depth, and remember that just because the world is watching doesn't mean it deserves to see everything. Live in truth, move in silence, let your growth speak when it's time, and until then, keep building the life that reflects who you really are. Not for show, not for likes, but for the kind of peace and power that lasts. That is how you lead yourself, and that is how you lead others by example.